good day, emerging mothers. I hope everyone is well. It's Dr. Michelle Lloyd just tuning in for our weekly live today. So I'll give everyone a chance to come on in, and then we will talk about an interesting topic today that I found has been invaluable as far as my past experience is concerned. So if you will just go ahead and drop in the chat how your week has been thus far. Thank you so much for coming in. Also, we're on Instagram and then also on Facebook as well. I so appreciate you all dropping in today. And I hope everyone's week has been good. So yeah, drop in the chat how your week has been thus far. I'm sure that you all have been accomplishing tasks and reaching goals and doing all of those things that you have on your agenda. And I'm super duper excited about that. Thank you so much. Yep, Facebook and our private Facebook group, of course, mothers are coming in. Now listen, this is what I want to focus on for today. I want to talk about just those emotions of anxiety and making sure that as mothers, with your teen approaching, they've already graduated from high school, and of course they're approaching that time where they're going to be transitioning out of the home. It's that emotion of anxiety and making sure that we are doing what we need to do in order to overcome that. And so that's going to be the topic for today. And so yep, tossing tips and dropping gems so that we can make sure that that we're right emotionally. Many of you already know in 2016, of course, my oldest daughter graduated and was preparing to leave, heading off to Virginia Tech. Of course, my second daughter in 2018 headed off and went to Mizzou. But, you know, and I have to admit, I was more so prepared in 2018 as opposed to 2016. But in 2016, what I found, and many of you already know our story, but we've had a number of mothers, of course, join our private Facebook group since, of course, we started it, if you will. But, yep, loaded up the car, drove to Blacksburg, Virginia to drop her and her belongings off, and of course came back home. Drove the 17 hours back with my second and also my third daughter, and was totally unprepared. Found myself on my prayer closet floor wailing, thinking, what in the world have we just done? Because of course she was fully prepared, but were we prepared? And the answer is absolutely not. We were not prepared. And there were feelings of sadness. And of course, that sadness, that is perfectly normal. That's perfectly normal. However, when that sadness is prolonged and then becomes an anxiety, then that's what I want to talk about on today, so I can make sure that we're taking care of ourselves. I am unable to admit that I was prepared for that loud silence that came from my teen's room while she was away. And after we had arrived back here in Houston, I was unprepared for that routine of hanging out with other parents of the sport that they played, and that was the sport of basketball. I was unprepared for that, and I was unprepared for, of course, the text messaging as versus the daily talks that we had. I was also unprepared for, if you will, standing, of course, holding hands and praying before leaving the home, which we still do on a daily basis right now. I was unprepared for there to be one less person, of course, in that family circle, which is what we, of course, are experiencing right now. I was unprepared for that, had not even thought that through. And then also, I have to admit that I was prepared in 2016 and 2017 and earlier on, just the lack of details that I would know from her daily, her day, throughout the day. And of course, again, with my second daughter, of course, I became better with that, just knowing that, the text messaging, that would be there as opposed to maybe a phone call. And then, we had to, of course, prepare again, but we were better at preparing for then, of course, being just having the one daughter in the home as opposed to the two or the three. I have to admit that we had become even more prepared for that. So those were the things that I had to adjust to and become accustomed to, as opposed to earlier on. So if you'll keep that in mind as the time is approaching for you, I think it would be a win-win situation, that's for sure. And I know for a fact that, of course, a video is in our private Facebook group where I talked about those things that we need to encounter if we're letting go as we're approaching that transition day, and learning to release with respect. That's going to be essential, because as the day arrives, you'll want to already have some things in place. So if you want to, of course, go to our private Facebook page, and then of course our private Facebook group, then there's video a little further down. It was recorded, and there are two of them, and they talk about two separate groups of tips, if you will, on how to go about releasing and with respect, and how to go about letting go as your teen, of course, is approaching that transition day. Okay, so listen, let's just jump right in to talk just a little bit about those tips as it pertains to overcoming anxiety. What we want to do is we want to make sure that we are embracing that emotion, and we're able to name it, because if we can name it, of course we can tame it. And what we want to do is we want to make sure that we are talking even to others, because there are other parents who are able to relate to exactly what you're going through. Something that can help us also when we're sensing that anxiety surfacing is we can make sure that we are to make sure that there's a sense of calmness that comes over us. It may mean, in addition to us maybe talking with other parents who we can relate to, it could mean us calling maybe the administrator at the school. There are a number of universities that even have resources on campus. Of course, they have them there for the students, but they also have them there, of course, for the parents as well. So that may be something that we may want to partake in. Universities that I'm familiar with, they have a Facebook group. And so that way, there are other parents whose students are on that same university campus. Whereas if your student is going in as a freshman, then of course there are some parents in that Facebook group, whereas their teens are seniors. Their young adults are seniors, and so they're more astute as far as what the university offers. Also, I remember at one point I was uncertain, how we were going to go about getting our daughter to the airport so that she can catch a flight home. And so I jumped on the Facebook group, and so of course I had mentioned, are any of your students heading to, of course, DC to take a flight out of that airport? And so there were like 3 or 4 parents who jumped in and said, my teen totally has room in his or her car to transport your daughter from Blacksburg to DC. And so it was just an easy fix. So I would encourage you to make sure that you're a part of that Facebook group, of course, that's affiliated with that university campus. Listen, tip number 2, if it seems as though your anxiety is prolonged, I experience sadness, and I found myself experiencing that sadness for, at least a few hours. And then the moment I was able to seek some support, some people may need professional help. And guess what? That is so okay. That is so okay, seeking professional help. I went to the church house and I sought my help from the church house. And of course, there's a Christian sister there who her name is Ann Brothers, and she was able to meet with me, and we talked and we prayed. Of course, her daughters are older than mine, and she had already experienced this transition phase, them leaving the home and being out on their own. So she was able to pour into me, and I so appreciated all of the words of wisdom that she shared with me, and I was able to implement some of those. And of course, and then as I'm doing right now, turn around and pour into some other mothers. And so it may be your, swing into the church house and identifying who has experienced this already, who would be able to help me experience this in a healthy way and move forward. If you are experiencing anxiety and it seems prolonged, listen, I want to remind you of the Apostle Paul's letter to the church in Philippi in chapter 4, verse 6. He says, be anxious for nothing, but with prayer and petition. And some translations say supplication. With thanksgiving, make your requests be known to God. And so I would encourage you, to dig deep into the BIBLE. It's always rewarding for me and gives me constant reminder and opens up my thinking to new revelations and to new words of wisdom, which that's really the only place I'm able to receive my words of wisdom, and I receive intelligence all the time from others, but by golly, that BIBLE, that provides the words of wisdom. And guess what? In Philippians 4:7 it says, and the peace of God that transcends all understanding will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Listen, who does not need that peace that surpasses all understanding for our hearts and our minds to be guarded? Listen, I do. I always do. And so it would make sense, of course, to go out and get professional help if that's what's needed. Jump into the BIBLE. Find a spiritual mentor or something who's able to pour into you. I am telling you, it would make a world of difference. And then also in the book of Matthew, Scripture says, do not worry. And so I'm encouraging you to just embrace Scripture and to just make sure that you are reaching out and getting whatever help and whatever support and whatever assistance you're needing. It would make the world of difference. It will make the world of difference. I am familiar with, of course, the Anxiety and Depression Association of America. And they talk about exercising. That's tip number 3. Move your body, mothers. Listen, find a treadmill somewhere at the gym or participate in PYO. That's Pilates and yoga. Move. Guess what moving your body does? Moving your body, it lowers stress and improves self-esteem. If you're encountering low self-esteem or your mood is low or anything along those lines, and I know that you all may see me looking to the left and to the right. We got Instagram over here. We got Facebook over there. So move your body, please, because that helps to jumpstart, any type of positivity, any type of adrenaline flowing. It is so healthy to move your body. It really jumpstarts my day. So I like to go downstairs and begin walking on my treadmill, or I will wrap up my day from time to time on my treadmill. So listen, that makes a world of difference as well. Listen, tip number 4, create your own parent posse. There are steps to take when you're focusing on creating your own parent posse, and you want to first and foremost think through, what is it that I'm needing? And then secondly, what am I able to provide to others? Those are some of the initial thoughts that you want to think prior to starting your parent posse. And that parent posse are a group of other mothers of like mind who are in the situation right along with you. I mean, there could be, maybe a mentor in your parent posse or not. It could be other mothers who are in the same stage of life as you are, and you all are feeding off of one another. So I would encourage you to think through that. Listen, DM me if you are interested in learning how to go about creating a parent posse. Then also take some type of steps to focus on preventing this anxiety or prolonged sadness that you think you may possibly encounter. And so when I say think through creating some type of concrete steps or to prevent some catastrophic event that you think may be in the near or the far future. You know, if you think that, for instance, when your teen transitions out of the home and lands on the college campus, that there may be an issue with safety, then feel free to reach out to the maybe campus police and talk to them about some things that have been placed there for safety measures. That could help to calm any anxiety. If you think that or uncertain if the health clinic on campus, if you're uncertain that they may have what your teen needs, give them a call to see if they have what's needed, and if they, which I'm confident they'll have it. Yet, if you're uncertain and you call and the need has yet to be in the clinic, then that may be something additional or extra that you may want to pack as you all are packing up to leave. If you think that maybe the club that your teen is very, very interested in, maybe they're not on campus, so you think that your teen may be alone and it may have difficulty creating friends. That club that maybe your teen can join, maybe that's something that they may want to ramp up on as far as their knowledge is concerned, and they may want to start that on campus. They're sure to earn friendships if they start a club on campus and then find that there are other students who are interested in that same club that they are in. So for all intents and purposes, the reason I'm bringing this up as a way to calm and nurture and then even overcome your anxiety, is to put some things in place or to make some phone calls to find out how to go about preventing something that you think may occur in the near or in the far future. And then lastly, tip number 6 is to exhale. Just breathe. Practice some type of, if you think that there's going to be some type of anxiety-inducing situation, find time to maybe be quiet and meditate. And it could even mean journaling and just doing a brain dump on paper of what it is that is here resonating within your cognitive, here within your maybe there's some thoughts in your imagery, maybe there's something going on in your frontal lobe that you're needing to get out. And so it could mean you're maybe just writing some things down on paper. And the reason I'm giving these tips is because if we're filled with anxiety as parents, and just tune in and just hear what I'm saying, is that if there's anxiety that is within us, it can possibly be transferred to our teens or our young adults. And that's something that we want to prevent at all cost. Sometimes it's something that's simply inherited, but sometimes it can be learned as well. And so if we're able to manage it, or if we're able to overcome it, then really it would make a world of difference. It really, really could. And so just like alleviating any stress that we're encountering, we'll want to go ahead and make some changes right now. So what I am confident about is that through the research that I've studied and through what I know from not only past experiences or through just this being now my area of expertise, we want to make sure that, we're putting into place some precautionary measures. So this is what I want to end with. I want to end with sharing with you that these are the topics that I talk about in my 6-month and my my 12-month, my 6-month and my 12-month Emerging Mothers Evolution Program. What this program entails is starting off with an orientation where I provide an overview of the program in general. Again, whether you are participating in the 6-month or the 12-month. And then next, a transition success plan is created, customized specifically for you. And then there are weekly one-on-ones and or weekly group sessions that you'll have with me, whereas I'll do the coaching. And then also there are motherly mindsets that go, of course, throughout the month. And then at the end of the month, there are monthly wins, because there are tasks that will need to be completed, and of course some goals that will need to be accomplished. There will be speakers in the program and also mindset coaches. And then also next summer, there will be a summer retreat in 2023. This is something you will not want to miss. So mothers, you will want to sign up. My next Emerging Mothers Evolution program cohort will begin on Monday, July the 11th. And so if you have any further questions, DM me and I will share with you more details. Thank you so much. Love you all. And until next time, take care and God bless. Bye.